श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम् लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् यो नित्यम् अच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः।
श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मं व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः. We continue with the Mumuksupadi study. 74th Sutra. Akarattalum makarattalum rakshakanayum rakshyatayum shuddhitte chaturthyalum ukarattalum rakshanahetuvana praptiyayum phalattayum shuddhitte. So as I said earlier, the pranava, which is Om, which is the first word of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. It is not only the first word, it is also the first syllable. But this syllable itself is a word. In the sense it has four components: Akara, Ukara, and Makara. So these are the three main components. Then you have the fourth component, which is the dative case, which is not expressively heard. So you have Akara, Ukara, and Makara hidden, right? Akara, Ukara, Makara, and also the Chaturthi Vibhakti. So four components are there in Om. So what are these four components mentioning? He summarizes as explained. Akarattalum, Makarattalayum, Rakshakanayum, Rakshyatayum Shuddhitti. So the Akara denotes the Rakshaka, namely the protector, namely Supreme Lord Narayana. Makarattalum, Rakshyatayum. Makara refers to Jivatma, individual soul, which is fit to be protected. Then Chaturthiyalum, Ukarattarum, Rakshanahetuvana, Praptiyum, Phalattayum, Shuddhitti. So the Chaturthi Bhakti mentions about the reason that is behind the protector protecting the Jivatma. And the Ukara mentions the result of the Jivatma being protected by Paramatma, or the individual soul being protected by the Supreme Lord Narayana. So this is how the Pranava or the Omkara, which forms the first syllable as well as first word of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, is analyzed. Thus he actually concludes the explanation of Pranava or Omkara, which is the principal component of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra. Then we go to the 75th Sutra. Inimel Pranavattai Vivarikkirathu. Hereafter we are going to explain the meaning of the Pranava. Ukarattai Vivarikkirathu Namasse. Akarattai Vivarikkirathu Narayana Padam. Makarattai Vivarikkirathu Chaturthi Narapadam ennum solluvargal. So, as we mentioned earlier, the meaning of the pranava is further explained in the remaining portion of the mantra, namely Namaha Narayanaya. So when you consider these two words, Namaha and Narayanaya, there are three components. Though there are only two words, there are three components. Namaha is one word which forms one component, and Narayanaya, in the word Narayanaya, for those who are familiar with Sanskrit language, it is the dative case ending of the word Narayana. So you have a particular suffix that is added to the nominal stem Narayana, which becomes Narayanaya. So in a few classes earlier, I was mentioning about the Sanskrit language. So where the case suffixes join the main word or the nominal stem. In English or in Hindi, you have from Vishnu, for Vishnu, by Vishnu, to Vishnu, etc., which are called as prepositions, which are separate from the nominal stem. They are considered as a separate word. So according to the science of linguistics, such a language is known as an agglutinative type of language. Sanskrit is known as an agglutinative type of language where the case endings or the prepositions they join with the main nominal stem. This is known as an agglutinative type of a language. Whereas in English or Hindi, in Hindi also you have Ramko, Ramse, Ramne, Ramme, etc. In English you have in Rama, of Rama, from Rama, by Rama, etc. These are known as non-agglutinative type of languages, where the case ending or case suffixes stand separate from the nominal stem, but they are immediately preceded or succeeded by the nominal stem, which makes us associate that preposition with that word, with that particular word. So you have, just as you have three components in the pranava, these three components mean or have the same meaning of the three next parts of the sutra, namely Namaha and two aspects that are combined in Narayana, that is the word Narayana, nominal stem Narayana, and the suffix which is denoted by the portion Aya. Though we are not supposed to use Aya separately. Just to identify, I am telling it like that. So he says, Ukarattai vivarikirade namasi. So the meaning of Ukara is explained by Namaha. Akarattai vivarikirade narayana padam. So the meaning of Akara is explained by the word Narayana. And Makarattai vivarikirade chaturthi. The meaning of the word Ma is explained by the case ending of Chaturthi, according to some. On the other hand, some opine that Narapadamennum Sholluvarhal. Makara explains the meaning of the word Nara. Because once again, Narayana is a compound word according to Sanskrit language. Naranam Ayanam, Narayanaha is one way of interpreting the word. Naraha Ayanam Yasya Saha Narayanaha. That is another way of interpreting the word Narayana. That is going to be explained in detail in the sutra only. So I will not explain it now. So this is commented upon by Swami Manawala Mamani in this manner. இனிமேல் இப்பதங்களுக்கும் அர்த்தம் அருளிச் செய்வதாக மந்திரசேஷம் இதற்கு விவரணமாயிருக்கும்படியே முந்தர அருளிச் செய்கிறார். இனிமேல் பிரணவத்தை விவரிக்கிறது என்ன இவ்விடத்தில் விவரணமாகிறது. பிரஸ்துதமான அர்த்தத்துக்கு உபயுக்தமான அர்த்தத்தை சொல்லிக் கொண்டு பூர்வோக்தமான அர்த்தத்தை விசதீகரிக்கை என்ற दीपप्रकाशत्तिनं उक्तार्थविशदीकारयुक्तार्थान्तरबोधनं मतं विवरणं तत्र महितानां मनीषिणां यन्त्रे रहस्यत्रयार्थविवरणक्रमम् அருளிச்செய்த பிரபந்தத்திலும் விவரண லட்சணத்தை ஜீயர் அருளிச் செய்தாரிலே. So Swami Manavada Mamani very beautifully explains what Swami Pullalokacharya wants to convey. Here a question arises. If akara is to be, already you have akara, ukara and makara which have already explained their meanings. Why do you once again repeat the same meaning with the word Namaha, Narayana, Aya by these three components? Why repeat the same meaning? If Om is quite sufficient, why do you have Narayana, Namaha, Narayana? Then he says, the word here, the word is used called Vivarana. So what does Vivarana mean? So Vivarana means the explanation of a particular meaning in an elaborate manner that is pertinent to the present context. So suppose I will say some very cryptically I say something. People cannot understand it. So you have to actually explain that concept in a way that is pertinent to the present context in a very appealing and very versatile manner. That is why the word Vivarana has also been defined in a particular manner. So he says there is a shloka itself which says what Vivarana is. So in Sanskrit language, it's a very beautiful thing, especially in Shastric literature. One word has several connotations, as I have been mentioning over the course of these lectures. So if you say sutras, what is a sutra? In English, it is translated as aphorism. But what aphorism means, we don't know very precisely. One can say a pithy statement which has lot of meaning, which is condensed in a particular manner. But it's not only so much. Because sutra is defined as alpaksharam, asandigdham, saravati, vishwatomukham, astobham, manavadyancha sutram, sutravido vidu. The word sutra is a technical term which encompasses not less than 6 aspects. So sutra is a small pithy, small in the sense relatively small statement, which is having relatively as less number of alphabets as possible. Alpaksharam. Then asandigdham, there should be no ambiguity at all. That which is totally unambiguous. Saravati, it should convey the purport of what needs to be said. That should be the case, because many a times what happens, I have listened to many lectures. Even after listening to a lecture for 1 hour, we are unable to actually understand what was the topic the speaker was speaking about. So I have listened to several lectures like that because we are unable to fathom what is the main topic that the speaker is trying to put forward. So Saravati, it should convey the purport properly. Then Vishwatomukham, it should be multidimensional. In the sense, it should be applicable to many scenarios, not simply just one particular instance. And Astobham, it should not have any stobha aksharas or stobha varnas. That means that are sounds that are exclamatory in nature. You say, oh my God, gosh, what has happened? Or they may, as I mentioned earlier, Jesus Christ, what may say. Or one may say, Ayo Rama. In India, they say like that. So these are, of course, Rama means something very pious or something, but we say gosh or something like that, oh my God, or something like that, which ha, oh, etc. These are stobhaksharas or exclamatory sounds which do not have any particular meaning. So such sounds should not be used in a sutra text. And anavadyancha, there should not be any misleading words in the sutra. In the sense, now I will give you an example. I saw the monkey while climbing the tree. This is a statement. I saw a monkey while climbing the tree. So whether I saw a monkey when I was climbing the tree, or did I see a monkey when it was climbing the tree? It is ambiguous. So such ambiguity, or sometimes there may be misleading statements, words, etc. There should not be any such misleading words or statements or whatever it is in the sutra. So when you say sutra, all these components have to be kept in mind. So you can just not say, of course, piti statement is an aphorism, it's translated as aphorism, a piti statement. Yes, but that is only one aspect. 5 other aspects are there to what is known as a sutra. Similarly, what is the meaning of vivarana? He says, Uktartha vishadikara yuktarthantara bodhanam matam vivaranam tatra mahitanam manishinam. So vivarana means that which elaborates on what has already been told in a manner that is very pertinent to the present context. Uktartha vishadikara yukta arthantara bodhanam. It conveys several other meanings or some other meaning that is very particular to the present, pertinent to the present context, which is also an elaboration of what has already been said. So suppose I gave a very general statement. I always tell the truth. It's a very general statement. Or if I say someone should always speak the truth, it's a very general statement. But does it apply in all cases? According to the Indian Shastras, in 9 particular instances, you are not supposed to speak the truth. Or even if you don't speak the truth, you are not penalized. In certain cases, you are penalized if you speak the truth. In certain cases, you are not penalized if you don't do it. So, for example, when it's a question of life and death, if you are speaking the truth results in the death of a person, no, you should not speak the truth. You should tell lies only. So there are several exceptions when you are actually not supposed to speak the truth. And there are some instances when speaking a lie is not a crime, is not a mistake, is not a fault. It is acceptable. So suppose a person is having a very jovial conversation with his wife or beloved. If he tells something that's a lie, it's condoned. Because it's only for a purpose of some having a nice time, he's telling his wife, or his wife is telling vice versa also. Similarly, in the Indian context, in those days, earlier, when Because in the Indian context, there was no question of like what was there in the West and what has become the norm in India now when we are aping the West, where a boy and girl or a youth and one or a boy and girl, I will say like that only, already have a relationship. Then they say, then he will wait for a day to propose to her, or he will propose to him, or he will propose to her, and then if there's a like, they will get married. And there is no, of course, there is sanctity, but the sanctity is given up. And they will say, if you don't like, I will divorce or something like that. But in India, that's not the case. That was not the case. Today, it has become the case. So in India, the tradition is according to Dharma Shastra. The parents of the bride to be, he will say, I want to get married. I want to give my daughter as a Kanyadana to a deserving groom. So you please suggest who is a deserving groom. So then they will search based on the family background. Then so the Gotra has to be seen. Which Gotra, which family of sages they say, which family of sages the boy is there. That is today it is very pertinent because we have the genetics has advanced so much that inbreeding is totally non-acceptable. It will result in disastrous sequences. Even in animals, nature does not allow inbreeding to happen. So they should not be of the same lineage. The bride and groom should never belong to the same family. So they should be from different lineages. Today, because of genetics, we know that. But our earlier sages had known that long back. Then they will see the compatibility by means of the horoscope. So you have so many criteria. That's a big topic. I will not go into that. But all that will determine whether there will be compatibility or not. So based on that, they will then decide the seniors will decide the marriage, not the groom and the bride. Because they will know the family background, they will know the cultural background and so many other issues. And they will decide, so the marriage is arranged by the elders, by the parents of the groom and the bride. And then the marriage takes place. And in India, until the last 50 years or 60 years, especially in the evolved communities, you never had the concept of divorce at all. But during that time, when the dialogue is happening between two families for marrying, if some lies are told, it is not incorrect. That is what has been told in the Shastras. Once again, what is the background, etc. That has to be explained in great detail. Why I am telling this is, every theory or every rule has an exception. So you cannot make sweepingly general statements. Or even if you make, you have to explain them, which is known as Vivarana. So that Vivarana is very much necessary if a person has to have a complete or comprehensive view about a particular topic. Therefore, this shloka actually very beautifully says what Vivarana means. Ukta artha vishadikara yukta arthantara bodhanam matam vivaranam tatra mahitanam manishinam என்று ரகசியத்ரயார்த்த விவரணக்கிரமம் அருளி செய்த பிரபந்தத்திலும் விவரண லட்சணத்தை ஜீயர் அருளி செய்தாரிலே. So Mananamamani says a particular jeer, a particular person who had taken sannyasa, he has explained the concept of vivarana in this manner. விவரிக்கிறபடிதான் எங்கனே என்ன அருளி செய்கிறார். So how is this vivarana or explanation happening? உகாரத்தை விவரிக்கிறது நமஸ் என்று தொடங்கி. So how does the meaning of ukara, how is the meaning of ukara explained by the word namaha? What is the basis and what are the criteria? அதாவது அந்நியசேஷத்துவத்தை கழிக்கிற இடத்தில் அந்நியரிலே அந்நியதமனாக சொல்லப்பட்ட தன்னை வெளியாகச் சொல்லி கழிக்கையாரே உகாரத்தை விவரிக்கிறது. நமஸ்தே. ரக்ஷகனான ஈஸ்வரனுடைய ஸ்வரூபத்தையும் ரக்ஷபூதனான சேதனாச்சேதனங்களையும் ரக்ஷணோபயோகியான குணாதிகளையும் ரக்ஷண பிரகாரத்தையும் விஷதமாகச் சொல்லுகையாலே அகாரத்தை விவரிக்கிறது. நாராயண பதம். நாகிஞ்சித் குருவத சேஷத்வம் அகிஞ்சித் கரஸ்ய சேஷத்வானுபபத்திஹி என்கிறபடியே கிஞ்சித்காரம் இல்லாத போது சேஷத்துவ சித்தி இல்லாமையால் தத் சித்திக்கு உறுப்பான கிஞ்சித்காரத்தை பிரதிபாதிக்கிற சதுர்த்தி சேஷத்வாஸ்ரயமான ஆத்மவஸ்துவை சொல்லுகிற மகாரத்தை விவரிக்கிறது. மகாரவாச்சியனான ஆத்மாவினுடைய நித்தியத்துவம், ஏகரூபத்துவம், பகுத்துவம், துடக்கமானவத்தை பிரதிபாதிக்கையாலே மகாரத்தை விவரிக்கிறது. நாரபதம் என்னும் சொல்லுவர்கள் எங்கை. Very succinctly he explains. உகாரத்தை விவரிக்கிறது நமஸ்து என்று தொடங்கி, அதாவது அந்நியசேஷத்துவத்தை கழிக்கிற இடத்தில் அந்நியரிலே அந்நியதமனாக சொல்லப்பட்ட தன்னை வெளியாகச் சொல்லி கழிக்கையாலே. So what is the need, or what is the main aspect that is being explained by the word namaha? That is not explained by Ukara already. Very beautifully he says. So Ukara means this Jivatma is subservient to the Paramatma alone. So when you say Paramatma alone, who are you actually separating? Paramatma alone means what? He is not subservient to others other than the Paramatma. So who are those others? Does it refer to some demigods or devatas? Or does it refer to some human beings? Or does it refer to that Atma himself? Because, for example, I may say, I am subservient to no one, I am subservient to myself, which we all think. Because suppose I ask somebody who is a very ordinary person, and ordinary persons are generally very haughty. Because the more and more a person knows, the more and more modest he becomes. And the less and less a person knows, the less and less modest he is. Is it not? So in Sanskrit there is a beautiful saying which says Vidya dadati vinayam. Very beautifully there is a statement, Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayadyati patratam, patratvat dhanamapnoti, dhanate dharmam tatas sukham. So the cause of everything in this world is knowledge, which is known as Vidya. So knowledge ultimately means the knowledge of the Supreme Lord Narayana. It can also mean knowledge with regard to other aspects of the world, which are associated with the Supreme Lord Narayana. So a person who is at the pinnacle of knowledge, or who has acquired great deal of knowledge, for him Vidya dadati vinayam. That knowledge itself gives him modesty. And due to that modesty, vinayadyati patratam, due to his modesty only, a person becomes or deserves to become the recipient of all that is good. When is he fit to be rewarded? When he is fit to be a recipient. When is he fit to be a recipient of something? Only a person who is modest is fit to be the recipient of all good things. So vinayat yati patrata. And then patratvat dhanamapnoti. Since he is a good recipient, he attains money. And by money, he attains dharma. Because he uses the money in a very good manner. So money, when it reaches the wrong hands, we know the disasters that happen. But money, when it reaches good hands, we know all the virtues or all the good things that happen. So when money reaches the right person who is deeply knowledgeable, who is modest, and who is fit to be the recipient of all good things, by dhanat dharmam, by that one will attain dharma, and by dharma he attains sukha or happiness, here and hereafter. Therefore, it is very, very important to know that to have modesty. So when I say, whom are you subservient to? If you say, I am subservient to myself, nobody can command me. What does that mean? That means you are immodest. So you are unfit to be the recipient of anything good. So all these aspects are actually included in the word, in the meaning of the word namaha. Though ukara gives an inclination of all these things, it does not explicitly mention all these things. Therefore, you have to have the meaning explained by the means of namaha. அந்நியரிலே அந்நியதமனாக சொல்லப்பட்ட தன்னை வெளியாக சொல்லி கழிக்கையாலே. So this jivatma is not subservient to any other jivatma. It is not subservient to himself alone also. I am not subservient to any other jivatma. Neither am I subservient to myself also. But I am subservient only to the Supreme Lord. This is what Namaha says. Then உகாரத்தை விவரிக்கிறது நமஸ்து. Then ரக்ஷகனான ஈஸ்வரனுடைய ஸ்வரூபத்தையும். When you say akarattai vivarikkirathu Narayana padam, akara itself is sufficient. Why do you need Narayana, the word Narayana? No. Because it is not the akara, though it encompasses all these meanings. One cannot very easily understand all the meanings that are summarized in the word akara unless it is explained. So it says, what are the aspects that are encompassed in akara? Rakshakanana Ishwaranudaya Swarupattayum, the nature of the Supreme Lord, Sriman Narayana. Rakshya-bhutanana Chetana Chetanangalayum, Rakshya-bhuta Chetana Chetanangalayum, Rakshanopayogyana Gunadihalayum, Rakshana Prakarattayum Vishadamahat Chulluhayale. So these are the aspects that are explained by means of the word Narayana. So that is the nature of the Supreme Lord Narayana and the qualities that exist in him, which are instrumental in protecting the Chetanas and Achetanas. That is very important. Which are the qualities? So in the Sri Vaishnava literature, there is a very beautiful exposition of the different qualities of the Supreme Lord Narayana. So some very important qualities are what are known as Paratvadihal. Paratvadihal, Paratva means what? Highness. We call the king, we call him Your Highness or Your Majesty. So that highness or majesticity is known as Paratva. So like that, there are several qualities in the Supreme Lord. But would that quality be instrumental in the Supreme Lord protecting a Jivatma or individual soul? No. The quality that is instrumental in protecting the Jivatma is what is known as compassion or daya or vatsalya. So unless a person has compassion, suppose now, for example, you have a person like Bill Gates. He has billions or billions of dollars, Warren Buffett or somebody who is there in the United States, or even Donald Trump, who is a billionaire. But will he condescend to the level of ordinary people and help them? No. Why? Because he does not have that compassion towards his fellow beings. Of course, he may have what we call as highness or paratva. He may have majesticity, he may own billions of dollars, or he may be the master of billions of dollars, he may have several yachts, several villas, etc. But what is the use? So the main qualities that are very useful in the Supreme Lord, are instrumental in the Supreme Lord protecting us ordinary jivatmas and individuals. So are the qualities like daya, vatsalya, saushilya, saulabhya, etc. Daya is compassion. Vatsalya is, there is no word, equivalent word in English to explain the deep meaning conveyed by the word vatsalya. So vatsalya is generally translated or explained as dosha bhogyatva. That is, enjoying the faults that exist in a beloved person. So the word is actually derived from the meaning of a cow, from the word that denotes a cow that has just given birth to a calf. I don't know whether you have seen what happens as soon as the calf is delivered. The cow starts licking the calf all over its body. In fact, it has just come out of its own uterus, which we feel is very dirty. The body is extremely dirty at that time. The body of the calf is extremely dirty. But neglecting or not taking into account the dirt that has encompassed the entire body of the just delivered calf, the cow will lick it all over the place. Cow will lick the calf all over the place. Even a person who is seeing it may feel disgusted. What is this cow doing? But that is the inherent nature of a mother who has so much of compassion for the just born kid or young one, that it doesn't care about the dirt that has encompassed the body of the calf that it has just given birth to, and it enjoys licking the calf all over. So it is Vatsam Sabhyam Kamabhale. There is a sutra exclusively authored by Panini to discuss this process, describe this process, and call it as Vatsalya. It is the height of the quality of what is known as Daya. But there is no word to equivalent word in any other language. So even in all other Indian languages, we call it as Vatsalya. So in Sanskrit also, in English also probably you have to call it as Vatsalya. So these qualities, Vatsalya, Saulabhya, Saushilya. Saulabhya is easy approachability. Saushilya. Saushilya is Sushila. A very good, what we call as behavior. So I think that is the word I can remember right now. Saushilya, to describe what is Saushilya. Good behavior means if somebody is undergoing some misery or difficulty, you have to try to help them overcome that. That is good manneredness. Because if suppose somebody is coughing, then what do? Immediately you go and get a glass of water and give it to him. Somebody has cut his hand or something like that with a knife and blood is oozing out. Immediately you help that person to get some first aid. Whatever it is, you may put a band-aid or something like that. Or you may, in India, what we do is we immediately close that place with turmeric. Because turmeric has antioxidant properties. So we just put it and immediately it will heal within some few hours. So the good manneredness or Saushalya is, if somebody is undergoing some suffering in your presence, immediately you try to help. So you have, these are the qualities that exist in the Supreme Lord that are instrumental in him protecting us. So they have to be highlighted in this context rather than the Supreme Lord having Paratva and several other such qualities, Srashtatva or whatever it is. So these are all explained in the word Narayana, which is therefore very important that they have to be explained. And then Rakshabhutanana Chetana Chetanangalayum Rakshanopayogyana Gunadihalayum Rakshana Prakaratayum. When you say he protects us, what do you mean by protection? And what is the process of protection? So Rakshikya Virodhi Pokoyim Anishta Nivarti and Ishta Prapti. Word protection is used in the sense you remove all the obstacles and facilitate the person to attain what he needs to attain, what he wants to attain. That is known as Rakshana or protection. But what is the process in which the Supreme Lord protects the Jiva? That has to be explained. Otherwise, you will be giving only a piecemeal view of what is to be mentioned. So that has to be mentioned. So these are all explained in the word Narayana. And then Aya or the Darapada or the Makara. The Makara explains or mentions or denotes the Jivatma. That is explained by Narapada or the Om Namaha Narayana. Yes, the Chaturthi Bhakti or whatever it is. So, what is, when you say subservience, this Jivatma is subservient to the Paramatma. What do you mean by subservience? How does a person show his subservience to the Supreme Lord? That is a very important aspect. Now I know I am subservient to the Supreme Lord. Let us say I know I have not, of course, I may not have realized it. So from reading the Mumuksupadi work, I have realized that, oh yes, this Jivatma which is me, I am totally subservient to the Paramatma. So I know this. So from tomorrow, what I'll do is I will do all sorts of ordinary things which all people do. Will I become subservient? Will that qualify me as a subservient person? No. Because it says, Na kinchit kuruvataha sheshatvam. If you are not doing anything with regard to the Supreme Lord, you cannot be called as subservient. Though you may be inherently subservient, that subservience has to be made known to the Supreme Lord. Suppose I say, I tell my mother, I love you very much. Then she asks me, go and bring a glass of water. I say, no, I cannot do it. Then she'll say, well, what do you mean by when you say you know me? So there is those who know the language, they can understand it better. And I am sure Keshav ji can understand it better. So This was being mentioned by Velakudi Swami in a very nice manner. So, in Srirangam, Lord Namberuman will be taken to the banks of Kaveri. And there the Tirumanjanam or Abhishekam will take place in that Amma, near Amma Mantapam. Are you familiar with that? So inside, after the Abhishekam and all happens, they will do the what is known as the internal or the Abhisheka, which is done in when the screen is closed. It's not done in public, where they will clean all the remnants of the Abhisheka from the Divyamangala Vigraha of the Lord, from the icon of the Lord. So at that time, many Sri Vaishnavas will be gathered outside. So inside, the person, the Archaka or the Pujari will come, the person conducting the puja. And he will say, so many Sri Vaishnavas are there. He will ask, go and, sir, please go and get one pot. He will give the pot to one person. Say, kindly get some water from the Kaveri river. He has to just climb down 15 or 20 steps and get the water. But that Sri Vaishnava will say, he will get angry. Of all the persons, did you get me only to ask to do this favor? Why are you asking me? So he will say, of all the persons, did you get Adiyan only to do this? Adiyan means a person who is totally subservient. So he will say, Adiyan, oh, did you get Adiyan only to give this, ask to do this task? Then that Adiyan does not mean that you are subservient. Though you are using that word, you are totally not in sync with that word. You are opposite to what that word means. So, Shesha means he has to be ready to do any task that is acceptable to the Supreme Lord. So, Akinchit Karasya Sheshatva Rupapati Ingirapadiye Kinchitkara Villada Podu Kinchitkara, at least something he has to do. Then only he can be called as Shesha. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th chapter, very beautifully it has been said. Lord Krishna says, do this. If you are not able to do this, do this. If you are not able to do that also, you do something. If that is also not possible, you do. He gives one by one, he goes on giving some options. Athaitadapyashaktosi kartum madyogamashritaha. And he says, Mad karma paramo bhava, madarthamapi karmani kuruvan siddhim avapsyasi. If you are not doing Jnana Yoga, do Bhakti Yoga. If you are not doing Bhakti Yoga, do this. If that is not possible, do this. And before the last one, he says, Mad karma paramo bhava. Engage in some activity that is associated with me, that is Lord Krishna and Lord Narayana. My Acharya very beautifully used to say, without expecting anything in return, you do some small activity. So I may say, see, I am totally occupied with my job, my family, my profession, so I cannot do anything. All I will do for the Lord is, I will offer one small tulasi dala, one small leaf of tulasi to the Supreme Lord, without expecting anything. And yes, good. That's a very good beginning. Or one person will say, I will do 5 pradakshinas per day, circumambulation. I will come around the Lord 5 times. That is all I can do. Yes, fine, that is also. So that is Mad karma paramo bhava, madarthamapi karmani kuruvan siddhi. So gradually what happens? Ultimately you will become a bhakta. So some activity you have to do purely for the sake of the Supreme Lord, without expecting anything in return. That is Mad karma paramo bhava. That is Sheshatva. You start off with doing something very simple, but ultimately the God will bestow you with his compassion, grace, by which you will become totally subservient. But something, that is what tat siddhikyurupana kinchitkarattai pratipadikira chaturthi. Kinchit small activity, very minute activity you do for pleasing me. Then only you can be called as Shesha. That's what the Supreme Lord says. So that is why Kinchitkara means, Kinchit means something very small, something very minuscule, something very negligible. At least that you do. So these are all mentioned by the Chaturthi. Pratiparikira Chaturthi, that is the dative case. Sheshatva Shriyamana Atma Atmavastvai Shollohira Makarattai Vivarikiradi. So the dative case suffix explains all these things that are encapsulated in Makara. Makara Vachanana Atma Vinudi Nityatam. Not only this, the Makara, which denotes the Jivatma, also conveys the meanings of Nityatvam, that is his eternality, Ekarupatvam, his being of the same nature always, Bahutvam, that he is many, Jivatmas are many in number, many in the sense countless. Tudakkamanavattai pratipadikyayare makarattai vivarikkirade narayana narapadaminnum solluvargal ingai. So Makara explains what is mentioned, or Makara's meaning is elaborated upon by the Chaturthi Bhakti suffix or the dative case suffix, or by the word Nara, which is part of the word Narayana. So, how and why, that has been mentioned here. Then we go to the 78th Sutra, Namaste Nayannam Mahayannam Mirandu Padam. So, Om is explained now. Then you have the second word, Namaha. So, this word, though it's a single word, consists of two components, namely Na and Maha. Na, Maha. That we will see in the next class. As Keshavadasji has rightly mentioned, servant means one who serves. If he doesn't serve, he cannot be called as a servant. Just like if you call a worker, worker means one who works. If he doesn't work, then he cannot be called as a worker. Okay. So questions?
May Adien ask a question, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
So this is a question that relates to the previous class that you gave. But before asking, I just wanted to express my gratitude for your classes. They, I feel they're so purifying, and I cannot help but think about them from week
you
to
have
week.
to be grateful to Keshavadasji for arranging the classes.
So the question that I have is, in the last class, you explained very nicely how Sheshatva is the principal characteristic of the Jivatma, and how it gives the Jivatma its value, just like fragrance gives value to a flower. So we see that different Vaishnava saints and also the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord, they have their own speciality, their own in their unique devotion to Sri Narayana. Just like the fragrance of different flowers will not all be identical. So my question is the following: is the speciality in which we, at the time of spiritual perfection, serve the Supreme Lord, is that an intrinsic characteristic of the soul? Does it form part of our Svarup, our unique Sheshatva, or is Sheshatva a general subservience that doesn't include the speciality of a bhakta's unique mood of devotion?
Sheshatva, both are right according to me. So Sheshatva, inherently Sheshatva means subservience, but that Sheshatva may manifest in different ways in different persons. So suppose now a mother loves a child So she may bring up the child or she may shower her love in different ways. One mother may hug her child many times. Another mother may kiss her child many times. Or some mother may not touch the child too much, but she may facilitate the child to have all the necessary food or clothing or whatever it is. So inherently Sheshatva is same in the sense subservience as a quality is equal or it's common to all the people. But the way it manifests in different people according to their own preferences, that differs from person to person. So both the aspects are there when you say Shesha, Sheshatva or Sheshabhuta. Have I answered your question?
Thank you. Are the particular preferences, are they expressions of the pure soul of the Jivatma, from the nature of the Jivatma?
Yes. So the expressions can be done in different ways. But ultimately, it can be, it is unique in the case of each Jivatma, but the principle of Sheshatva is equal.
Okay.
So like I said, each mother will shower her love on the child in a different way, but motherhood is common to all of them.
Yeah.
Like that.
So, Swami, we have the example of different people or different saints that related. If we look in the Divya Prabandham, we see that the Alvars have approached the Lord in different moods. They approached the Lord in different moods. So some of them felt some conjugal relationship with the Lord. Some of them felt dasas as just simply servants. Or the same Alvar in different times may have felt different in different relationships.
Yes,
But
yes.
so according to the nature of the soul, he may want to do something like Andal wanted to marry the Lord. Not all souls are thinking like that. They're thinking simply to serve the Lord. But at the same time, because we have that nature of Sheshatva, we have to be prepared to do anything for the Lord. If he wants us to do something else, we may want to marry him. He may want us to be simply a chamaradari, just fanning, and not to do. He may want us to do something else. So there's the aspect of the Lord's wish, his Satya Sankalpa, his wish, and there's also the wish of the individual to serve in a particular way. So I think what Sundar Gopal's asking is that the soul may have a desire to serve God in a certain way. And he wants to know, is that inherent in the soul? And does the Lord always take that into consideration? Or will the Lord also say, okay, but I want you to serve in another way, in Sri Vaikuntha?
Both are correct. That is why we talk about Sheshatva and Paratantriya. So in the Ramayana, we have the best example in Ramayana, where Lakshmana offered his services to the Lord and he said, you have to accept my Sheshatva, my services. He says, Rama did not ask Lakshmana to come and serve him. Lakshmana declared, Aham sarvam karishyami jagrata swapatashyate. Bhavamsa sahavaire hya girisamah. I am going to serve you when you are awake and when you are asleep. You may enjoy your time with Sita. So that is what Lakshmana said. He himself declares, I am going to offer you these services. But what did Bharata do? He said, I will do what you like me to do, what you want me to do. So that is why we call him as Paratantra. So Bhagavad Sheshatvam is manifested in Lakshmana. Bhagavad Paratantriya is manifested in Bharata. So he is Paratantra to the Supreme. That Bharata says, you command me what you like me to do, what you want me to do. Then I will do that. It's not like I want to offer this service to you, I will do it. No. So though Lakshmana is very, very, very close to Rama, on the other hand, Bharata is more exalted, more respected than Lakshmana because he is Bhagavat Paratantra. So Paratantriya is a progression of Sheshatva or a higher level of Sheshatva. So Paratantriya, of course, is more revered than Sheshatva. But that doesn't mean Bhagavat Paratantriya does not have Sheshatva. It's the higher level of Sheshatva, what we call as Kashtha in Sanskrit. That is the pinnacle of Sheshatva is Bhagavat Paratantriya.
Swami, I have a question here.
Yes.
Is serving the poor, the sick, in the name of Lord, to please God, is that considered as another part of Sheshatva?
Of course. Because in Sanskrit, there is a Subhashita which says, Santosham Janayet Prajna. You serve the Lord in different manners. So when you serve the poor and needy, ultimately you are serving the Lord only, is what is specifically mentioned in our tradition. So, of course, in Christianity, serving the persons who are deprived, who are not well, etc., they do that in a very religious manner, which is very much acceptable. But it does not stop there only. That is also a very important aspect of serving the Lord, where you serve the Lord through the persons who are deceased, who are having problems, mental problems, physical problems, poverty, etc. So definitely that is accepted as a service to Lord and it is commended. Because when in Ramayana, when the qualities of Rama are mentioned, Yasaneshu Manushyanam Bhrisham Bhavati Dukkhita. If he sees a person who is in some distress, immediately he will actually, just like the butter when it's exposed to heat will melt. Rama used to melt when he saw a person in distress, and he would immediately try to help the person overcome his distress in whatever manner he could. So that is why they say in Kannada there is a saying, Janasevaya Janardana Seva. Janaseva is the service to the people, is service to Lord Janardana. Definitely that is commended. But there also you have to have the bhavana, you have to have the inherent feeling that you are serving the Supreme Lord only through this person. So that is how it is. And even performing one's own duty according to his Varnashrama Dharma, he is also serving the Supreme Lord only. Yajnas, yagas, etc., all those are the service of the Supreme Lord only. But it has to be, when it is done with that feeling, of course, even if you don't have that feeling and serve a person who is having a disease, definitely you will have good tidings due to that. But if you do that as a service to the Supreme Lord, as a means of service to the Supreme Lord, it will be very meaningful and you will attain several times more good out of it. So thank you very much for the nice interaction. I also thoroughly enjoyed the interaction with you. And I feel it's only a sharing of knowledge, not that I am telling and you are listening, or I am giving and you are receiving. So it's only according to, there is a very beautiful instance in the Sampradaya Granthas where in the Tirupavai commentary, a question is asked. So now Andal or Goda Devi seems to be teaching all these gopikas, do like this, do like that, etc. Does she mean to say that she knows everything and those gopikas don't know anything? Then Swami Periyavachan Pillai very beautifully comments, he says, Bodhayantah parasparam ide parasparam bodhayantah bodhayantah kathayantastamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. That's what Lord Krishna says. So, for example, I may tell Keshav Das ji, see, it has been mentioned like this. Then Keshav Das ji may tell in Srimad Bhagavatam it has been mentioned like this. Then Sundar Gopal Das may say in Harivamsha it has been mentioned like this. So that is how mutual interaction takes place with regard to the wonderful qualities of the Supreme Lord. So it is bodhayantaha parasparam. That means mutual interaction and mutual knowledge sharing, as we can call it in today's language. That is of great merit, and it actually results in our acquiring the grace of the Supreme Lord in an easy manner. So that is what it is all about, according to our Purvacharyas. So thank you very much. Chedraman Jetyesha Chatura Chaturakshari Kamastham Prapadyante Jantavo Antamadrishaha Punyam Bhoja Vikasaya Papadhvan Takshayaya Cha Shivan Avirabhut Bhumo Ramanuja Divakaraha Nikrita Virinchar Nirankusha Vibhutayaha Ramanuja Padam Bhoja Samashrena Sharinaha